Hello friend, this is my YouTube channel IT Pro. You can watch it for a strongly foundation of information technology and promises you to give you conceptual knowledge in computer. Keep watching for latest videos. Time to time I will come with the latest video in computer. Thank you.
Your document and ask a friend to proofread it, they'd probably mark the errors in red pen and write any suggestions they had in the margins. Wouldn't it be easier if you could do that electronically? In Word you can, using two features called Track Changes and Comments. I'm going to turn on Track Changes right now so I can show you what I mean. To do this, go to the Review tab, then click the Track Changes command. Now, any changes I make to the document will appear as a markup, which is Word's answer to the traditional red pen. For example, when I delete text, it doesn't go away. It just gets crossed out. When I add more text, it gets underlined. This lets the owner of the document see what changes I've made before making them part of the final draft. You can also add comments in the margins by selecting the text you want to comment on, then clicking the New Comment command. In this example, it would be best to address the letter directly to the hiring authority, so that's what I'm going to suggest. When you're done, press the Escape key or click anywhere outside of the comment box to close it. So how does it work if you're on the other end of the document? Well, as the original author, it's up to you to accept the changes to make them permanent or reject them if you disagree. Take this change here. Just select it with your cursor, then go to Accept to keep it, or Reject to go back to the original text. You can even open the menus underneath the commands and accept or reject all the changes in the document at once. I'm going to accept just this one change. To remove any comments, start by selecting the comment box, then go to the Delete command. If you have multiple comments, you can delete just the current one, or you can delete them all at once. At this point, you might find it helpful to view some of the markup off to the side instead of in the text itself. This should make the document a little bit easier to read. First, go to the Show Markup command, then Balloons. Now click Show Revisions in Balloons, and many of the changes will move to the right margin, though any added text will still appear in line. If you want to hide all of the changes temporarily, take a look at the options in the menu here. Right now, what we're seeing is the final version of the document, but with all the changes and revisions still visible. Choose No Markup, and the markup will disappear, so we can see what the final draft might look like with all the changes in place. There's one thing to keep in mind, though, and this is very important. Hiding the markup isn't the same as accepting all the changes. You still need to accept or reject the changes in your document before you send out the final version. Let's say someone reviewed and edited your document, but forgot to turn on Track Changes. It's still possible to accept or reject the changes they made using a neat feature called Compare. To get started, click Compare on the Review tab, then click Compare again. You'll need a copy of your original document and also of the revised version. When you're ready, click OK. At this point, Word will compare the two documents and come up with a list of changes that were made between them. Over here is my original document, the version that someone else revised, and in the middle is the combined version with full markup, as if the Track Changes feature was turned on all along. Word was able to put this together based on the comparison of the two documents. Now you can accept or reject the changes just like I showed you before. All of these features can be a huge help when it comes to collaborating on projects. They make it easy to keep track of revisions and communicate ideas back and forth, so you can work on the same document with friends, families, or coworkers.
Include a web address or an email address. You can format these as hyperlinks so people can access the information directly from Word. For example, I'd like to add an email address in the contact section of this newsletter. So I'll just type the address here, and when I press the space bar or the enter key on my keyboard, Word will automatically format the text as a hyperlink. You can do the same thing with a web address In this example, we'll add a link to a pool safety website, www.poolsafely.gov. And there we go. Creating links automatically doesn't always work though. For example, if you want the text to be something other than the web address. In those situations, you can format existing text as a hyperlink. In this example, I'd like to add a link to the City of Orlando's website so you can go directly to the website while reading the document. I'll first select the text that I want to turn into a link, then right-click and choose Hyperlink. You can also use the Hyperlink command on the Insert tab. Every hyperlink has two parts. The most important part is the address, which could be a web address, an email address, a file, or even a location in the same document. Just use the buttons here to navigate your options. In this example, we're going to enter www.cityoforlando.net. The second part of a hyperlink is the display text, which is the thing people will actually see when they read the document. The display text can be the same as the address, or just whatever you want. When you're ready, click OK, and now the text is formatted as a hyperlink. You know, it's a good idea to test all of your links before sending out your document, just to make sure they work. Normally, when you're in a web browser, you could just click a link to open it. But in Word, you have to hold Control on your keyboard while you click, just like it says in the instructions here. Okay, this website opened correctly, which means our hyperlink is working. Let's go back to our document for one last thing. If you want to remove a hyperlink, all you have to do is right-click, then make your selection from the menu. You can also choose Edit Hyperlink to make adjustments to the display text or the address. So now you know two different ways to create hyperlinks in Word, by converting the text yourself or using the automatic formatting feature.
Your documents is fine in most cases, but for something that requires more organization, you might want to try a table. This will let you enter your text in columns and rows instead of lines or paragraphs. To create a new table, just go to Insert, Table, then mouse over the grid to select the number of cells you want. My table's going to be pretty big, 6 columns by 6 rows. Now click, and the table appears in your document where you can start entering your information. If you already have some of your information listed, don't worry, you don't have to start from scratch. Take this version for example. The schedule's kind of hard to read in its current format, but we can easily convert it to a table in just a couple steps. Start by selecting your text, then go to the Insert tab, and click Table. Now click Convert Text to Table, and choose one of the options here for separating your text. This is how Word knows what to put in each column. My text is separated by tabs in this example, but paragraphs, commas, and other symbols will also work. When you're ready, click OK, and the text will appear in a table. To enter information, just click the cell you want. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to navigate. To insert a column or row, hover outside the table over one of the cell dividers. Notice the plus sign that appears? All you have to do is click, and Word will add a column or row in that location. Deleting columns and rows is just as easy. First, select a cell in the range you want to delete. Then right-click and choose Delete Cells from the menu. In this example, I'm going to select Delete Entire Row, then click OK. So this is looking pretty good. I think I'm ready to add some formatting to make the table easier to read and also give it some color. For that, you'll find everything you need on the Design tab or the Layout tab, which appear anytime you have your cursor in your table. Under Design, you'll find a wide range of table styles to choose from, which you can mouse over for a preview. For the full list, click the drop-down arrow in the corner. How about this one? Once you've chosen a style, you can customize the way it's laid out using the table style options here. For example, you can decide whether or not to use special formatting on the first column or the header row. These will all have a different effect depending on the table style you've chosen, so you might need to experiment to get the look you want. You may have noticed that this table has a border between most of the cells. To add or change the border, just select the cells you want to modify, then look to the Borders group. Here you can select a line style, line weight, and also a color for your border. When you're ready, click the drop-down arrow under the Borders command, then choose where you want the border to go. I want mine around the outside of these two cells. You can make further modifications to things like the size and layout of your table by going to the Layout tab. The first thing I'd like to do here is make the table a little bigger overall. I'll start by placing my cursor in the bottom row and then dragging the border to the size I want. When you're ready, click the Distribute Rows command, and the rows will readjust so they're all the same size again. Next, I'm going to select the entire table, and then change the text alignment using the options in the Alignment group. I think centered looks the best. Finally, I'd like to combine these two cells into one, also known as merging. This option is useful if your table has data that spans several different columns or rows. Just make sure your cells are selected, then click the Merge Cells command on the Layout tab. The Layout tab gives you many ways to customize your table, so it works for you and the information you want to display. There are still lots of other options to explore, so make sure you give them a try on your own.
Thank you. Thanks for watching my videos. And if you will like this video, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Thank you.